Sorry. Still gonna get my camera to work, so I'm on regular face. Okay.
Oh, okay. No worries. Not gonna be frustrating with all the tech.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, and thanks for letting me move it back a little bit.
Yeah, no worries. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh my God. All my tech is messed up. I got nothing today. I'm on a laptop.
Well, I mean, you're here, so that's all that matters. Consistency is real.
Yeah. All right, cool. We'll deal with shitty audio, shitty video today.
Yeah, all good. No worries. Yeah, we're being consistent though.
Yeah, sure. I gotta say, if things don't work out in software, I might have a career as a designer.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm actually so happy with the way some of the stuff turned out. Like, I am such an impatient person that if I don't get what I want immediately, like when it comes to work, I'm just going to do it myself. So I was patiently waiting for designers, feedback back and forth, and just little things. Like, I'm picky. It has to be perfect. So little things, if it's off by like 2 pixels, I'm like, guys, how did you not notice this? Or like, if a color ends in like D5 and they use D3, like I don't know. Anyway, so okay, here, look. I'm gonna show you what I did.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got version 2 of the newsletter all done.
So you're designing all of this in Figma manually. Manual. There's no AI. You're not using AI to do any of this.
It's 100% manual, all of it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll loop back on that in a minute.
Okay. Honestly, it's just the way my brain works. It's easier. It's probably not easier, but I find it easier to just be in control of the entire thing. So like all the handwritten stuff, anyway, it's all
That's really good.
newsletter done, which is cool. And then we did this master chain of ads. So we have a carousel going through all of our core features. But then I realized after talking to the devs, we have about 106 hours left in front of us. So we thought, well, why don't we just release these features one by one rather than just doing everything at once? So then we did ad specific features. So we have different ones for sleep tracking, for growth and milestone tracking, and for meals and nutrition. So now as we roll out features and they're published to test flight and then we approve them and they actually get launched, we're going to launch these features one by one. So now I have our advertising plan and our email marketing plan rolled out for the different feature releases. We also did the Instagram pinned posts because I find with the mobile app, you don't really know what it is or like what it does. So I'm trying to copy other companies that are doing the same thing. You basically pin this at the top so any new person can just see, okay, what does this app actually do?
Mm-hmm.
And then we also did these, I think look sick. This is the new App Store images.
Okay, that's what those reminded me of with the arrows going across the carousels. I see that all the time.
Yeah, so I try to be consistent with everything. So like the color theme and everything used on the ads is very similar to what you see on the newsletter, which is really similar to what you see on the Instagram pin posts. And then we have these like overlapping gradients. And then same thing for the App Store images. So I'm trying to have a stronger brand presence basically. But we got it all buttoned up, and then I have all the automations done in One Signal. We're working on the push notifications now. So yeah, anyway, like I'm doing all of the work other than the actual development, which the dev team is working, so that when they say, okay, we're ready, new features are live, I don't need to then go back and do the marketing. And I already have all the assets loaded in our Google ads and our Meta ads. So yeah, I'm just trying to get as prepared as we can so that when a new feature is released, I can just flick a couple switches and we're off to the races.
So is your plan to do a feature release and then once it's approved, you start advertising that new feature basically?
Yeah, pretty much. Just because there's simple features like, I can just show you. Yeah, so there's simple features like sleep tracking that it's only a couple screens. Oh wait, wrong one. Yeah, it's just a few screens and a bit of math. And this is going to take far less time than building something like our milestone tracking feature. So we're just going to release them one by one. I also think this is the most valuable feature. So it's the lowest hours and probably the most valuable. So yeah, might as well just release that now so we can start running ads, get some revenue in while they're building the other stuff. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it.
What you're saying is what I've now experienced, because when we started, we didn't have a designer. I was the designer, but I wasn't designing things in Figma. I was designing it like very rough. But then once these AI tools came into play of being able to design what was in my head, I started quickly using those tools to then mock up these ideas. And that's been what I've been using that method for the last probably 6 months. We are no longer going to hire a designer because for the exact reasons that you mentioned, like the back and forth of, oh, here, submit for approval. Oh, I approve, blah, 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 back and forth, like there's so much time and effort. I don't want to say the word wasted, but it's comparable to that word when you look at an AI tool that can just be essentially abused for hours on end that then results in the pixel perfect exact thing that I'm looking for. Well, I maybe not pixel perfect, but you get the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's kind of how I'm feeling about Figma. And Figma has, what do they call it? What's the term? It's called components. So you can create, I'm sure you know what this is, but you can create components for all the different design elements and then reuse them anywhere. And if I want to make a change across the entire app, like I want to change a color or text or font or size or whatever it is, you just change it once and then it will automatically update across the entire Figma board.
Mm-hmm.
So there's little things that you can do that save a ton of time, where now that I'm learning how to use those, I realize sometimes that you can get gouged on design hours pretty quickly. And it's also kind of like working with any agency that amasses any amount of size. It trickles down through team members, and they're taking on so many projects at once that it can get a little bit sloppy.
Oh, so you like in the concept of outsourcing design to an agency. Yeah. As much as I
Essentially, that
love,
each, like, you know, I'm sure that each junior designer has probably 15 clients that they're dealing with at once, and they're just racing through work because they get things stacked on their plate so often and so quickly. It's like any sort of agency that anyway, I think that a lot of the details just get sort of brushed past, but I have the time to be able to look through it more attentively.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Figma releases any sort of these AI builder tools that would allow you to prompt that into existence and then be able to do the fine-tune editing manually. I'm waiting for that tool to come out.
I've seen it happen in the reverse, where there are AI tools that will make designs and then you can export it to Figma.
Yeah. And that's what I've seen with other things. Like I've been using lovable.dev a lot, and they now have a native code editor, which is nice, and a visual editor. So it allows you to click elements to then be able to edit it or prompt it or change like certain elements or parts of it. But it's still kind of limited. I can't fully go, and do the level of the pixel perfect designs that you're probably achieving with a design tool.
Yeah. 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 That's the one downside of the AI platforms, is that even after the work is done, you still probably have to modify it.
Yeah. Unless you're using that fully as your stack, which I wouldn't recommend. I'm seeing so many people now talking about how they're vibe coding something into existence, but then that last 10% of pushing it to production and then having it actually engage with real people in the real world causes these edge cases that then causes these problems, which then are more difficult to fix if you don't have a consistent architecture throughout your entire application. And a lot of these AI tools are just creating like new global elements that have no relation to each other. So everything is just kind of like smashed together in a sense, whereas something that has purpose built and purpose driven architecture where, classes are in a standardized format, like the colors are, it's like these are those elements that ensure a good architecture is something that I've learned that is quite valuable which is not something that a junior or an AI dev can really facilitate at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I've learned, so we now have a new dev that works with, it's the same agency that I was working with previously, but it's, I guess, like a junior developer.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, it's significantly better, what I can tell. And he, with me without knowing it, coded like a good part of the first version of the application. So anyway, he has like this deep understanding. One thing that I find super valuable is he has a lot of UX experience. So as he's going through the app, he's like, this made sense from a UI perspective, but from a UX and how we're going to have to code it in the back end, it doesn't make sense. Let's move these pieces around. Or he also mentions priority of information. Like this is probably sounds obvious to anybody who's been through this, but the most important information should be at the top of the screen, especially on mobile, because you don't have a lot of real estate to be able to share the most pertinent info. So just like reordering things or changing the workflow on what screen you get to, depending on what's clicked. These are little things that like I wouldn't know because I don't have any UX or dev experience. But yeah, that's where it's nice to have somebody that has a bit of both.
When it's good that whether you did it or not, encourage that type of feedback. One of the best things I ever did early on was tell my entire engineering team, like, challenge me on anything and everything that you think, like, please, because I don't know what I don't know. And if I'm telling you to do something stupid, you have to tell me that's stupid. Like that's a requirement of your job. And
Same thing to these guys. Like, you can never hurt my feelings. Just tell
yeah,
me think I'm wrong.
and bring me your ideas. If you have a better idea or way of doing things, let's do that way. Like this is not like a dictatorship in the sense that it has to be done my way. I probably have a very good idea of how our end customers would expect things to work, which is how I'm always, typically approaching new ideas and concepts. But like you said, if there's technical debt that gets added from something that I tell them to build that then causes delays and problems and all these things, then yeah, we should probably not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Got to rely on the people that actually know what's going on.
And I also think too, it's interesting because the more I feel like we talk with the larger concepts of development, marketing a software product, even though you're on mobile and iOS and I'm on a web application for not even a consumer, the fundamentals are the exact same.
Yeah.
And it's only taken us.
Most online businesses is the exact same.
Say that again?
Like the fundamentals of running like a mobile app versus a web app are the same, but it's also really similar for e-com or an agency or like
Kinda.
there's a lot of similarities. Anyway, sorry. What were you going to say?
I mean, yeah, in so many words, yeah, that I think the thing I'm realizing is the fundamentals of business are the exact same. Like how you talk with your employees, how you deal with partners, how to get eyeballs on your product. These are all like the core fundamentals of online business. Where I think things differ and it becomes really interesting to me is where we were doing production or having to purchase units of something is now replaced by this concept of engineering and development. And that like nut of where the work is actually being done, I think is where you can, like, oh, now, if you're going to this other business, figure out that whatever that chunk is, because everything else around it is going to be the exact same. And you could pull pretty much any general advice on how to do those other things around the thing and be relatively successful. You were mentioning this morning how you set up some cold emails for some leads and things. Like that's just a standard way to get in front of people. And if you know how to do that, it doesn't really matter what the actual thing is because you can sell anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting you talk about dev costs because I've been comparing building Bambi to building an e-com brand.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many similarities, especially when you look at the funnel. Like We're looking at the impressions that we get on organic, and then we're looking at our cost per click on ads and our CPM and our conversion rate from impression to click, click to download, download to trial, trial to paying customer. And it's the exact same thing in e-commerce. You're
Okay, so
looking at,
click, download, trial, purchase.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it'd be this exact same. It would be click so it'd be click, view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Conversion, like the funnel is the exact
the
same.
columns are the same. It's just the names of the columns are different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but looking at the math is the exact same. It's
Yeah.
what's my conversion from this to this? Okay, that means my cost per click is $1, but my cost per download is $10. And then my conversion from download to free trial is 30%. Okay, so great. I have a $30 cost per purchase. Like running the math is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Difference is in the cost structure, it's not upfront inventory, it's upfront development. So like the businesses are actually so similar. But that's
Upfront
why I'm
development,
excited.
upfront development plus maintenance and maintenance is what I want to talk about maintenance, but there's another thing I was going to mention on that. Well, maintenance is something that I've learned is so like once you start throwing tens of thousands of users through the thing that you built, it will be broken. Like people will break it. And the ways that they find to break it have been so interesting for me to see and watch because it's things that I never would have thought possible, but yet they happen all the time. I don't know how that correlates over to iOS because I think it's more of a gated environment, so less weird things can happen.
Yeah,
But
it's true. Yeah, it's true. But the maintenance part, I don't know. I think it's probably because the iOS world is it's so advanced and it's so well built out, and there's so many good supporting softwares that the maintenance costs sort of say it would be the same as running a Shopify brand. Like think of your database cost as the same as transaction cost on Shopify, right? And then you would think of something like, how do you get in front of your customers? Well, in an e-com business, it would be Klaviyo. In a mobile app, it's OneSignal. And the costs are almost identical in terms of usability. So I think there are so many things where the cost to run the application scales with the size of the business, it scales with revenue, but it's not something that I'm unfamiliar with. Like an e-com business works the exact same way.
it'll be interesting to see and I hope this happens, like if 1 million people go through the app, will the existing architecture be able to handle that scale?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
And that is something that we learned. So back to what I was going to mention. So the correlation between like a software business, whether it's an iOS or web application, we're also doing way more shit in terms of like where things could be broken. For the simple sake of like an example, like the adding in a custom domain, there's so many ways that could go wrong. And all the edge cases, like, and that's something that I think, a lot of other places wouldn't have to worry about, but the correlation between the two sides of the business, it took me however many two plus years to realize that missing column step where you go through the process of add to cart, initiate checkout, post-purchase, like that exact sequence. I was missing a few of those steps, wondering why my funnel wasn't converting. The second I implement that step, which was essentially an initiate checkout step, a forced initiate checkout step, our conversion 3x'd.
I know. Yeah, you wish that light bulb went off a few months ago or a year ago.
Yeah.
But this is all part of it. It's just all part of learning. The huge difference between mobile app development and an e-com brand, there's a lot of similarities, but the big difference is you are in charge of making the software good. Whereas in the product world, it's not that difficult to make a great product unless you're doing something tech related. But most of the e-com brands that I see, most of the customers that I've worked with when running an agency, the products are not complicated. The brand is the differentiator, right? It's like athletic wear and apparel, there's candles, there's home decor, there's sports equipment. It's all basic shit and that you can get manufactured overseas, or in the case of home decor, sometimes in Mexico, because it's just like wood shit.
Yeah. Or now in the US, baby.
US. Yeah, avoid those tariffs. Get that tax deduction.
That would have crushed us back in the day. Like if we had to pay an extra 25, 50% on import, like anything that we were importing, goodbye margin.
Oh my gosh, I could go down the whole like Trump tariff rabbit hole.
Let's not.
I'll say, I'll say that one for another time.
Yeah.
Is that thing? Yeah. It's so much more difficult to build a good software product than it is to build a good actual product. If I wanted to sell sports equipment, if I wanted to sell like, I don't know, golf club grips, like there's a gajillion manufacturers. There's so much information out there about how to design it properly. You can rip off competitors. It's really not that hard. It's the brand that's the differentiator. And for a good software product, especially for a mobile app, it better be so fucking good or people will not use it. And there's not really a reference point other than if you're directly ripping off a competitor. It's not as easy to find a reference point and say, okay, I'm just going to build that, because you need to figure out how it's built. And some of these things can be actually very expensive.
Well, and it's a bigger ask too, because we have to make it good enough that they'll keep paying for it, not just the one time. And I mean, the only other time I've experienced that was when I was selling vape juice, which is essentially a drug, which is addicting, which makes sense why people kept buying it.
Of course.
But so do you think there's any like similarities or like when you're saying like it's all about the brand, in order to have that kind of perception, it's then shifts towards marketing and advertising to be able to have that brand get in front of enough people. Whereas I think with certain software products, and I'm seeing this right now with things like Lovable that have insane viral growth because the product is so good, other people are now sharing it and telling their friends about it, where they're achieving like hyperbolic growth. I think they went to like 0 to 17 million ARR in 2 months. What the fuck? But the product is so good. So their advertising and marketing funnel is very little, if at all, for right now. I think if anything, they're probably going to go, they're going to skip the whole KPI thing and go right to broad impression-based marketing. And I saw that kind of yesterday when they're putting up their first billboard in New York City. Like you can't track attribution from that, but that's from what I've learned from you at that level or at that scale, when you're starting to spend millions of dollars a month on advertising, they don't care about KPIs or it's just raw impressions.
Yeah, because at that point, it's about market saturation. So then you're running the math like, okay, what's the CPM? Let's call it $10. What's the population density of an area that we're targeting? Like that's how they're thinking about it. They're thinking, how do I reach every single person in this population with a particular campaign, like a certain set of ads, before moving on to the next set of ads because they get saturated. Right? That's the way Apple thinks about it. It's not about, like you said, what's the KPI on an iPhone 16 ad? Like they don't give a fuck.
Nah.
How many people are gonna see it?
Yeah.
If I drive downtown Warsaw right now, there are iPhone billboards fucking everywhere. And it's the same thing in basically every city. They're just thinking, how do we get as many people as possible to see this? It's not. So yeah, I think Lovable is the same thing. But going back to your point about, do you need a personal brand? I think a personal brand in e-com is so much more important because there's not as much of a differentiator on the product. Like if you're going to buy Lululemon or Gymshark, if I took the logos off, would you know what it is? Probably not. Like you might know Lulu has like this little like tick that, but no one knows. It's a consumable product.
Is that actually a Lululemon thing?
Yeah, it's a Lulu shirt.
Oh, I thought it was just like Noah spit up on you a little bit.
Oh no, that's my reflective.
Oh,
Classic Lulu badge. Or they've got like, I don't know where it is, but they've got like little logos at the bottom of the shirt. So I think for smaller brands, having a personal brand is beneficial, but not necessary. As you get bigger, the need for a personal brand probably fades away. Or if the product is so good, then a personal brand doesn't matter because people are going to use the product regardless of the personal brand. A personal brand can just help you get started, get like the first, whatever, few thousand users or first couple $1,000,000.
Yeah,
What, something like Lovable. I mean, who cares? If people didn't know Sam Altman, they would still use OpenAI because the product's amazing.
exactly. Yeah. I'm starting to feel that kind of with my social media profiles where I haven't been posting as consistently as I need to be, and I know that, but I'm still generating 40 to 100,000 impressions a month organically on my account, on my Instagram account only. And the only thing that's linked in my bio is Stammer, which then I know that there's a certain amount of people that are seeing that, because 40 to 100,000 people that are seeing my profile every month, like there's gonna be a few thousand people, and it makes sense why we have such high direct traffic, because I think that's one of the major pushers, because people are going to my profile, clicking on the Stammer profile, then clicking on the website, boom, now it's a direct hit.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
So my goal now is less on the KPI stuff, more on the broad, because we're trying to go, we're just trying to go more impression based to see if we can capture the interest of the people that are having these problems, trying to hack together what we've already built.
Okay. Perfect segue. I think that there's a change from personal brand to community brand, which is also a change from KPI tracking to impression tracking. And you can see
Mm.
this across different industries. The first time I saw this on a business level, like on an e-commerce brand, was the company Tabs, sex chocolate.
Oh, Tabs, Tabs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they had this genius idea where they would just pay creators either a flat rate per video or pay them a dollar amount per 1,000 views. But
Mhm.
the creator is in charge of making the account on TikTok and posting the content. And the only thing that they have to do is post the video and focus on getting the views up. But the brand doesn't need to access the accounts. They don't care. You can call it tabs 123. It doesn't matter, right? And then that is changing from KPI to impression-based marketing. Because
Mhm.
all they want to do is have thousands of creators posting tens of thousands of videos about the brand. And if you get it at that level of market saturation, everybody's going to see it. It's going to go viral, right? So then you're going to have a couple lost leaders, but you're going to have a lot of pieces of videos that are going to make up a ton of revenue for you. And then those are the ones that you can run in ads to just add fuel to the fire.
So they were like early to the WAP/posted model.
Pretty much, yeah. And then you can use like individual creators, like this guy's name, like Andrew Tate basically invented clipping. And
Yeah.
then you can see all the other guys like Speed has the same thing. Iman Ghazi has the same thing. It's just about impressions. It's like, how
Yeah.
many people can I get to see my face and to recognize me and build that one-sided relationship with me and then end up purchasing my courses or content?
Now I'm seeing it go extended. I'm sure you've seen this with the gambling platforms like Stake,
Mm-hmm.
where they don't care what the piece of content is at all. It's just a viral piece of existing media that they slap a logo on, and then now it's considered piece of content by Stake. And especially on Twitter, I see this all the time. And then every several of them, I'll see a community notes where it says like, "Oh, this is a gambling ad." Every one of these is a gambling ad, essentially. But really smart from their point of view of doing that, because just take what's already working. I've seen this with some musicians too, with them trying to game the streaming algorithms, and because I've linked up with a couple like producers here in Vegas, and trying to like talk with them about their funnel, and same kind of thing, like using this concept of viral videos, but then using their songs as the background music, which then gets those videos to be viral because of the content. But then people start saving the song on Spotify and then start listening to the song on Spotify, and then whoopsie daisies, now you have a couple million streams on Spotify. You're now like you know, making money on Spotify.
Well, one of the first artists to do that was Drake, and he used WAP, which is having, for anybody who doesn't know, it's basically an army of people that will clip up videos, existing videos, and then post those videos with sound. So in this case, all you had to do was choose any sound bite from any song on the newest Drake album. And I think by doing that, I'm just quoting it because I recently listened to a podcast on this, so my numbers could be off. But it was something like one of the first or the fastest albums to go platinum, and something like 15 million downloads in the first day.
Oh my gosh.
An absurd amount, because the amount of impressions that it got on social media, all of a sudden, every other video that somebody is seeing has one of the sounds from their recent album.
So smart.
It's like fulfillable.
Yeah.
I think the importance of personal brand is still there, but I think that there's going to be a shift to community brand, especially for something like software, where someone might not be interested in, let's say, Stammer particularly, but they could be really interested in AI, or running a AI automation agency, or white label SaaS. So you can be interested in like these broader community topics, and that's where a community brand is going to come into play. So in your case, you get a lot of downloads because other creators have talked about Stammer somewhere, right? And then that's actually legacy SEO that's going to continue to feed in to the active trials that you're getting today. I think you're going to see that a lot more in software, and that's what we're relying on too. So I don't have a strong personal brand, but there are a lot of creators that do. And if we can get a community of hundreds of creators posting videos about Bambi, and they're all an authority figure in their own niche, in our case, parenting, we're going to build this community brand where if someone is expecting their first baby, their Instagram algorithm knows. I can be a testament to this. Like, my Instagram knew I was having a baby before any of my friends or family did. 100%. But
that's wild.
the other video that someone's going to see, eventually there's going to be a consistent theme of what's Bambi, what's this mobile app, what's this mobile app. And then when you couple that with paid advertising, now the KPI tracking that we have is just to recapture the money that we spent on impressions. So it's not about the direct conversion, but it's about impressions that we can get organically by using platforms like Posted, by using platforms like, what was the other one? We talked about it like a million times.
Posted.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
And by using all the creators that have made videos of us. So that will be the impression side that is building this sort of community brand. And then the KPI marketing is basically just going to be retargeting.
Yeah. I think we also kind of wanted to do this initially ourselves with this whole concept of agency to SaaS. And I think it's still a feasible concept within the next iteration of what it could be. And I'm already a part of the run club that I'm a part of in Vegas is now a community brand where everyone who's in that run club feels like they are it as well. And I'm actually going out to dinner later tonight with a colleague because that I play pickleball with, and we're trying to come up with a concept or an idea of a business, like the Venn diagram between business owner and content creator as like the two larger concepts. Because I was thinking, like, if I do business owner and AI, well, be anything, but I think content creation as a whole, or as a fundamental, is one of those core pillars that every business niche needs to understand or know, whether you're doing it yourself or getting other creators to do it or whatever.
I think that's the big thing. For a long time, it was you as the founder have to be the face of the brand. And I still think there's a huge benefit in that, but it doesn't always have to be true. Really what you need is impressions. And we're seeing that with platforms like Posted. Like, just need people to be talking about the brand. It doesn't necessarily have to be you.
Yeah, it doesn't need to come from the singular. It can come from the masses.
Exactly. And that's the difference of a personal brand and the community brand.
Yeah. A really good example of that is Peter Levels on Twitter. I don't know if you follow him.
I think you mentioned him a few times.
He's like an indie developer, a guy who just kind of builds and releases stuff on his own. And he started vibe coding a flight simulator game, which he has like 600,000 followers on Twitter. So he started posting about it, which then garnered tens of thousands of people to play the game. He then started selling ad space in the game. Like he would put a 3D blimp with somebody's name on it. I think yesterday he posted that he's crossed 86,000 in MRR. So over $1 million in ARR in less than like 3 weeks. And he's like, this is the fastest project I've ever built there. And so many people are getting butthurt and angry because they just see this, meteoric rise to success. And on one hand, it is quite ridiculous that businesses are paying $5,000 a month to put an ad in a game that has 20 to 50 concurrent players at a time. Like I get the impression play, but that math doesn't math for $5,000 a month for 20 concurrent players a day.
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Probably not, but it all comes down to impressions and conversion rate. Like if you're advertising in that game and you have a higher priced product, it is your target customer that's playing the game. I don't know. Maybe it does work out.
Maybe. I don't know. I figured it has to be the impression play because obviously you can't track anything from that. But the type of
it could also be the impression play, not for the game, but for getting the creator to talk about it. If he has 600,000 followers on Twitter and he goes, this was I launched it so quickly and now look, I have this ad space and like this brand paid me $5,000. Maybe that's why they did it, just to get him to say that they did it.
I did not think of that. That would be worth it immediately. I mean, that's probably less than what he would charge for a sponsored post in the first place. Damn, I did not think of that. That's good. That's probably, yeah, for sure.
That might be. I don't know. It could be, could not be. I don't know. It's also my first time hearing of it, so that's a total shot in the dark.
Well, and it inspired hundreds of other people to also now vibe code their own games and their own things and applications. And I saw that and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Shiny object. Whoa. But I took that as a sign that I could start vibe coding entire apps myself for my customers in a way that I can make money. And so one of the things that people have been asking us a lot for is integrations. Like we want more integrations and we want to be able to connect it to do other things, or these AI agents to do other things. And so I was able to vibe code out a piece of middle software that could connect and extend the functionality of these AI agents to third-party applications like Go High Level and that's the first one that I started working with. I don't know how Go High Level's API works or how to code any of that, but I was able to take screenshots and prompt into existence with Cursor a working application that actually works. And for my use case and a YouTube video demo, it's perfect. But that's kind of where it stops because I don't know how to take that. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't want to do it in the wrong way that would open myself to issues, let's say. But I think people like you and me who are code adjacent or design adjacent are going to have great success with these types of tools because we have such a clear, we are not using these tools to discover our vision. We have the vision, and now these tools are helping it bring it into reality.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So we've talked about this a few times. Your competitive advantage is not the product that you've built. I'm going to misquote it. Basically, like anybody can use the tools. The tools are out there. It's kind of just knowing how to use it now.
Yes, exactly.
Like prompting. It's not the fact that AI exists. It's who knows how to ask it to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think more and more people are starting to realize that they can actually do that, their life and their use case. And it's interesting to see how people are just now discovering these feats, basically. So, something as simple as writing emails in the way that you would want to write it, but not in a nasty tone or something like that. And it's like, that's been a use case for the last couple of years, but it has taken 2+ years for people to grow comfortable enough to even approach these tools to do that in the first place. I think we're just going to see more and more that barrier is just going to continue to go lower and lower and lower until we just have a world of dummies prompting everything into existence.
Yeah. See, this is where I think that software is coming closer and closer to e-com, because if the barrier to build is so low, like it is for e-com, you can literally drop ship anything that is already existing.
Yeah.
So the barrier to create it is so low, the differentiator is going to be brand and ability to get customers, basically.
Yep. Distribution remains the great divide.
Or in simple terms, content is king, baby.
Much better way to say it.
No, you're right. You're right. It's how quickly and effectively can you distribute.
Yeah.
It's kind of the annoying part, because you can build something awesome, be like, I know that this is so good, but no one knows it exists.
Yeah. I think that's where the whole build in public concept, I think, came about. But now that idea, like the whole concept between ideas and execution, everyone was always like, ideas are cheap because you have to be able to execute. Well, now you have AI to be able to execute quite easily. So does it then flip or shift backwards to where, okay, well, your idea now actually has to be good? Because if everyone has the same idea and is using AI to design the same idea in the same way, distribution still is a differentiator, but
this is where I think something like UX is underrated, because it's not idea and it's not execution on building, it's user flow.
It's a good point.
There's no such thing as instructions, right? No, like, when's the last time you downloaded an app and said, how do I use this? Like, you just know. Everybody knows that if it's desktop, the legend's on the left, and then you click on something and a sub tab will open if there's more information. The save button is in the bottom right, your settings is in the top right, or the bottom left, but it's like they're canned and reused things. So I think I can't overestimate the importance of UX. Like, the ability for the user to actually just intuitively know how to use your application, I think, is really important. So
Yeah.
it's the idea, but it's how does the idea flow? How are the screens connected? How is every action correlated?
That's a really good example. And think of how many Kanban style applications are out there, like, to-do list applications, right? I've tried so many, but I always come back to Trello because the UI and the UX for things as simple as being able to easily do horizontal scrolling that scrolls at the right speed, at the right amounts, like whatever that is, for me, that is one thing that I've picked out of that application as being, this is a core feature that I look towards as something that is unbeatable by any of these other applications.
It's funny, I actually just got rid of Notion to use Trello again. So I had this
Really?
idea. Notion it has all these like note-taking things, and we can add our SOPs. I'm like, you can use Google Sheets and Google Docs. But really what you want to function properly is the Kanban style flow, especially if you're using a dev team. Like, you need to know who edited the content. Nothing can be ambiguous. So yeah, anyway, same thing. Like, yeah, switch back to Trello.
Yeah. Trello's probably, aside from like Gmail, Trello is probably one of my longest used software platforms.
I'm here. I kind of forgot about Trello. I used it at my old sales job like 8 years ago, like a really long time.
Yeah.
And that was our primary software for, especially for the dev team, just like debugging things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, finally it came full circle.
Yeah, I used it when the vape shop was still a retail store. Long time.
All right, I want to keep building. I'm learning, what's it called? JSON.
Good old JSON, baby.
There are parts where I send something to the devs in a spreadsheet and like, can you just give it to me in JSON? Yeah, I'll figure it out. Sure. I'm trying to find it. Thank fucking God for ChatGPT.
I was saying, what's JSON?
No, seriously. I asked him, like, do you have an example? Like, yeah, sure. Here's a file. Okay, cool. I sent ChatGPT. I'm like, here's my spreadsheet. Here's a JSON example. Can you put this in the exact same format? Like, yeah, no problem. Done. Perfect.
Are you now familiar with what JSON is?
Nope. Don't need to be. I got that, baby. I don't have to learn it.
Basically, it's just the formatted data for AI. Like that's how AI can read data well. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep.
Should we start doing clipping of these?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I think that we should talk in a way that is inherently more viral. Just take hard stances on shit. Say stuff that's a little bit more assertive.
What if we did it for medium length for YouTube? Because that's for.
To do something where you get a clipper, or do you want to use like Descript or something?
I've been trying to keep up. It's just like I have to pick my battles and sitting there for multiple hours to watch the content that we've recorded, find out the right areas to clip out, then clip it out, then export it, then upload it, then get it's like if we could have someone do that piece for us, but I don't think, like you're mentioning, I don't think our conversations equate towards quick social media viral clips.
It's something where you could pay a clipper because they're paid on CPM, but like we're not getting tens of thousands of views where it would be justified for them.
Yeah, not in that model. It would have to be a normal, we pay you per edit type thing. But
Yeah.
the issue that I've been finding is it's difficult to find someone that can be a producer and be able to watch the long form, know what is going to be good to pull out of the long form. Opus Clip, all these other things are terrible. Like it just doesn't work. I've tried them consistently over and over and over. You have to do more editing and more work to fix what they're doing in the first place.
Honestly, I like talking because it almost clears out my thoughts of like what I've been working on and thinking about for the week. But I don't know if clipping would directly align to my business goals. And honestly, we're spending like fucking 20 grand a month on bullshit. I just don't know if I need to add it to the list.
Yeah, I'm still looking.
For you, it makes sense. I mean, these are AI conversations and you have a following that I've like building a parenting app. I just don't know if the conversation is relevant.
Yeah, it could grow your personal brand in a way. The videos did get views. Like the last time I did do medium length clips, the medium length clips collectively got 5x the amount of views as the single long form episode.
That makes a lot of sense. Like the long form episode, I don't think is going to get a ton of views.
They typically don't.
I see it more as just also because there's no editing. There's nothing interesting happening aside from the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it more as just like building a repertoire of information and rather than like building a personal brand.
Yeah. Well, and for us to just be able to connect on a weekly basis.
I mean, we were talking weekly for years.
Doing this anyways. Exactly. Yeah. I'm just glad we're being consistent.
Yeah. It is, you said this to me before you were building Stammer, as you were building SiteRight, after the vape business got shut down. You said like, don't underestimate the value of having a profitable business running while you're building something else on the side. It's really fucking true. Cause man, this shit is not cheap.
Yeah.
I definitely miss having the, like 30, 40K months revenue coming in. You can easily afford these development costs and like all these little things. These little like, you know what it is? You get $1,000 to death.
Boy, do I know that feeling.
Anyway.
So when are you launching your first new feature, or when is it live?
Haven't given me a TBD because honestly, they're ripping through it really quickly. So, well, I can open Trello. I'll tell you.
Are you guys using Trello for your whole like dev? Are you using GitHub at all?
I don't really use GitHub though. Like we have an account. I don't even know what you do with GitHub.
Interesting.
Yeah, onboarding is done. That was 12 hours. Home is being worked on now. That's 10 hours. And then sleep is being worked on after, which is 20 hours. And then after home, onboarding, sleep, and settings, which is 6 hours. We have 36 more hours before the first release. They're normally like 30 hours a week. So I would say probably end of next week should be out. It's actually pretty quick. That's exciting.
Yeah,
I'm
nice.
excited for that because then we can run ads. Because the first feature that we're launching is the sleep feature. And I honestly think it's by far the most valuable feature. Like I use our biggest competitor every day, multiple times a day. So I'm just taking the most important features of that app and bringing it into here.
That's a great sign. I'm so excited to see what happens.
Me too. Me too. Oh, that was the other thing. The other similarity with ecom is the pricing model of apps can be very similar to low-cost ecom brands. Like if you're selling a product for $30, there's a lot of similarities on the conversion metrics that you'll see if you're selling a $30 a year software.
Makes sense. I wonder where I fall in that range.
I think the return on ad spend is inherently lower for software products, but there's more convincing to do.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is where I've looked at guys that have built super viral apps like the AI team, and they talk about inherent virality. Like the faster someone can see an ad, understand what your product does and how it solves their problem, the sooner someone can figure that out, the more likely they are to download and purchase. Or in your case, like start a trial and subscribe. So that's what I'm really trying to focus on is like when you see the ad, you should know exactly what it does and exactly what problem it's going to solve for you. And I think that is the difference on you break even in like your third month of retention and you break even on the immediate month of purchase.
Yeah. Seeing your ad layout is making me think about mine too. About how to optimize and switch things up a little bit based off of the actual core problem solving features, not a larger concept maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's the tough part about your software. It's so complex and there's so many moving pieces. It's very difficult to dilute it down to one feature. But I think that if you only show one feature, then the user can discover everything else on the inside. So like that's exactly what we're doing. If you look at our ads, this is the first set of ads that are launching. So we have a long form carousel showing all features. We have a single image showing the three new features. And then we have an ad one by one showing an individual feature. So this is like a pretty obvious pain point. Kids don't sleep. It's a pain in the ass. It's hard and it's annoying and every parent feels it. So improve your child's sleep. You know what you're doing. Okay. You know that it's a sleep timer. That's pretty clear. And then you get these like stats. So it's just, in my opinion, it's very obvious on what you're getting. But the user doesn't know that after they install, they're also getting this growth and milestone tracker. And they're getting a meal plan creator and food label scanner. So it's like, these are things that they're going to see on the inside and be like, oh, fuck, that's cool. I hope. But they're downloading it for the reason of the one feature that I'm advertising. So this is also where, if I'm taking up too much time, you can let me go as well. But this is where we've set up our meta ads. This is the one thing that I probably know what I'm doing related to this whole business. Everything else, I'm just flying.
Yeah. How quickly can you get to this point so that way you can just start ripping it?
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm like, I just need to get it launched so I can start running some fucking ads.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I've done for so long. So this is the new ad account. So I ran a test and we got installs and purchases from it. And I tested different ad types. So I'm like, if this shitty carousel can get a $13 cost per download, and our conversion rate right now is 29% from download to install. So the simple math for all you folks at home is the cost per previous action, in this case, 1366 divided by your conversion rate 0.29 gives me a cost per purchase of $47 on a product that is $59.99.
For a year. Per year.
Yeah. Per year. So if they choose the annual plan, we have a wonderful return on ad spend of 1.27 on software.
Got it.
It's not bad considering this was literally a test run.
Not bad. Yeah.
Not a good feature set, in my opinion. Mediocre ad, not great features that we're advertising. Whereas now I think if we can advertise good features with a decent looking ad and a strong social media with a lot of other parent influencers, parent creators making content about it, I just don't see how it couldn't work. And I'm probably going to find out how it can't work. But I just feel so strongly that this could work. We're also getting, on the first release, we had a 30-day free trial. So we're getting all of our renewals now, like all the paid ones are coming in. So that's reassuring at the time that we're spending money developing this new thing. Anyway, sorry. So yes, version 2, I have these 3 single images: sleep, milestones, and nutrition, that we're testing against each other to see which of the 3 features is going to garner a lower cost per download. And then that's where we'll branch off and make more ads related to those features.
Same audience for all these ad sets?
100%. Exact same. Yeah.
So why are you having them be multiple different ad sets?
Because if it's all in one ad set, the budget's going to go 90% to one ad. And it's going to...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, this is what we started to change in the agency. And I guess starting about a year and a half to 2 years ago, we would just split up ads per ad set, even though the ad set is the same. Because although
That makes sense.
you're not supposed to, it's the only way to actually properly test creative work.
So then you're doing ABO. How much are you spending per? Okay, 15. Yeah.
Yeah, to start, because that way we'll have like $60, $75 a day to start between we have these ones going as well. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's why I'm excited to just release one feature at a time, because then I can release the sleep image ads first and hopefully just start to bring in some revenue.
I'm very bullish on it. Like all the things that you're saying, like it's so eerily similar to what I was saying that was the right thing 2+ years ago, but I didn't know it was the right thing at the time. And now you're saying the same thing that I'm now realizing is the reason why we were successful in the first place, which is you are using those features, other people are using those features. Like it's what people are looking for already. So now you're just going to meet that demand with something that's new.
I think there's so much value in just solving your own problem.
Of course.
Obviously, everybody says it, but it's easier to say than do, because to realize the problem, you have to be so entrenched in the industry or so entrenched in the problem for years to even realize that it's a persistent problem that other people have.
And then have the insane audacity to think that, oh, let me build this for everybody. Like, I feel like so many people will...
No one else is going to.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people will just solve that for themselves in some way. Like they'll hack it together. Like I'm sure there's some, AI nerds who have done this with their babies, but taking it to that step of, oh, let me turn this into a business is, I think that's the little crazy checkbox that you and I both have.
Yeah, definitely. this is such a bad thing to do, but I have such a bad habit of looking at like the total addressable market and thinking, if I can capture this micro percentage of the total market,
You'll be a billionaire in no time.
I'm doing the math. I'm like, okay, so there's 6 million people in the US that have children under 2. Of those 6 million, I think 4 million are couples. Like, so if we can capture 1% of the market and everybody gets a 50% discount, then we're going to have, I think the revenue is like 3.6 million. Like if we can capture 3%, then I have like 14 million. I'm like, fuck, it's going to be huge. Anyway, I'm just like, it's easy to dream because it hasn't launched yet. I'm just doing all the other grunt work, all the shit before it launches.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Could look back and just have not worked, but I'm hoping that's not the case.
I'm seeing that with some of our agencies too, where, they want to build their multi-million-dollar SaaS, but the reality that like you were saying, 30 to 40K a month is such a nice, sustainable easy life
Yeah.
where, I mean, you can do anything really at that point, within reason, but like you're not worried about money at those levels.
Definitely not.
And I think at a certain point, it does give you kind of that bit of like the golden handcuff thing a little bit, but that's where I think the grass is always going to be greener. But it's just nice. I think it's nice to recognize that more so than trying to build the multi-billion-dollar business. Like, get to profitability, get to 10, 20, 30, 50K a month, and then like live.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. The golden handcuff thing is so interesting. I realized that by selling that, like, whether you're going to keep growing the business or you're going to sell the business, the inevitable steps you have to remove yourself from, like, the day-to-day operations anyways.
Yeah.
And you're less important than you think you are as the business operator. Like, you think that you keep the wheels on the bus. You don't. You can find someone else that can do it. We talked about that when I remember I was in Florida and we talked about that whole thing of like, I thought that I was the business, but it's simply not the case. Your customers don't care about you. They care about the result.
Yeah. And that's the benefit of software is you don't have to be. Like, you can remove yourself.
I remember the passion that I had when we were running the e-com brand, because I was working in the agency trying so hard. And I think at the time our revenue was just starting to tickle 30K. We were at like 25, sometimes creeping up there, 27, like in and around there. And the ecom brand got to 86K in 4 months MRR. And I'm like, fuck me. And I didn't have a call. I didn't have a customer. I didn't have like none of that shit. And that was, it just scales so much easier. But for anybody getting shiny object syndrome, it was not even close to as profitable. It was very expensive to run.
Yeah. I mean, it was like sub 20% if I remember.
Yeah, we didn't know. Yeah, exactly. We did not make money on it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Software, baby. That's where it's at.
we'll find out. You already found out. I hope I find out too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no way I'm going back now. Like, it's,
Well, no. I need you. As soon as you start making that kind of money in software, obviously you're not coming back to service.
well, not service. I think at some point when I get a couple $1,000,000 to do my own CPG brand or something like that, I think that will be a shiny object that I want to come back to. But as we both know, like, they're just, it's a completely different model, completely different way of spending money. So yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine from Toronto. His brand did north of $10 million a year. I don't know exactly what it was. And e-com brand. And I asked him, like, what do you take from the business? Like, safe withdrawal rate is between 2 to 3% of your revenue. Like, that's it? 2 to 3%?
What he was making?
Yeah, what he safe withdrawals, and like you could draw it as a dividend from the company.
Hmm.
It's like anything more than 2 to 3%, you might impede on your inventory purchases or like advertising spend or a big thing, wasted products. Like if you don't sell an entire collection, or if you're in the sizing game, like size 29 jeans are not going to sell, but you got to make them anyways. So yeah, safe withdrawal is like 2 to 3%. So you do the math on that, right? And he did pretty well. Let's just say $10 million.
Yeah, 100K.
Yeah, 300 grand.
Yeah, for all that work.
Not nothing, but
It's not nothing, but
it's $25,000 a month in an agency. So if you get your agency revenue to $30,000 a month, there's your 300 grand.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
35,000, call it.
So I think the difference there is the exit play. The goal is not to take 3% forever. It's to have an exit that gets you 15x
No,
more.
of course. But I mean, his business was still doing, like, building a $10 million business is a lot of fucking work. That's hard.
Yeah.
Building an agency to 25 grand a month.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
$10 million e-com brand that's like, internationally recognized or nationally recognized.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. But also, sorry, I'm talking so much. I was speaking to another founder friend of mine. He sold his e-com brand to start an agency. And I thought that was really interesting.
Really? Okay.
And I asked him, like, what was the revenue like? What was this like? What was that like? So he was doing between 60 to 75,000 revenue per month on the wholesale side.
Okay.
And the direct to consumer side doing about 15,000 a month.
Okay.
Averaging between like $85 to $90,000. Or what is, no, $75 to $90,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Which is about $1 million.
Yeah.
Guess what he sold the business for?
Is e-com brand? $5 million.
300 grand.
What? Less? Wait,
$300,000.
he sold a business that was generating over $1 million a year for 300 grand?
$3 a year for 300 grand. Yeah. Because the profit margin is so low.
Oh yeah. What? Yeah. What was his profit?
No, I don't know. You never told me that, but no.
Okay. Well, yeah, clearly. I mean, it must have been losing money.
But it's also, I think,
That's wild.
you're at the agency, you kind of just want to get out. You're like, I'm fucking exhausted. I think he was going through the same thing. And he was just like, I got to get rid of this thing. But the stress of like $100,000 purchase orders, and then there's manufacturing defects, and you have to like burn half the product, and there's that advertising cost, and it's just like all the things of running it are so expensive and so difficult, and the margin is not there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I was going with that, but I just thought it was interesting that like for our agency, we were doing like around $500,000 a year and got a 1.2x rather than $1 million.
His numbers must have been fucked. That math is not mathing.
Pretty crazy. But CPG's a whole other.
Yeah.
It can work. I'll let it work for someone else.
Yeah. 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 Straight up. Nice. Good talk this week.
Yeah, that was a long one. Thanks for letting me ramble.
Yep. I think these are, valuable to somebody as long as we keep making them.
I mean, it's valuable.
Valuable to me too. That's the other, yeah, exactly.
I like getting my ideas out there.
Yeah. Same. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.